Hello everyone, I hope you all are fine. So far we have discussed most of the topics regarding the CT scan brain anatomy. If you are new to this CT brain series, I suggest you to watch the previous chapters before starting this one. Links are in the description. My name is Dr. Talha, and in this chapter we will learn about the meninges and the posterior fossa structures. As we all know that the meninges are thin layer of tissue found between the brain and inner table of the skull, and they are composed of Dura Mater, arachnoid matter and the Pia Mater. Usually they are not visible on a CT scan as they are in close approximation with the inner table of the skull, but there are two thick infoldings of the Dura Mater that are visible on CT scan. These are fossa cerebri and tentorium cerebelli. Here you can see the fossa cerebri, which is an infolding of Dura Mater lying in the midline and separating the left and right cerebral hemispheres. It is very important clinically as any pathological process that causes mass effect leads to the deviation of fossa towards the other side. This is also known as midline shift. You can see it on your screen. Similarly, the tentorium cerebelli is an infolding of Dura Mater, and as the name indicates, it forms a tent-like sheet which separates the cerebrum from the cerebellum. The tentorium is anchored by the petrous part of temporal bone. Here you can see it on the axial CT slice, that the tentorium cerebelli is separating cerebrum from the cerebellum. It can appear more dense due to blood, as in case of subarachnoid hemorrhage. Tentorium cerebelli is continuous with fossa cerebri and it can be visualized on a coronal sections of a CAT scan. Now that we have understood what tentorium cerebelli is, let's talk about the posterior fossa structures, which consist of cerebellum and the brainstem. The part of the brain that lies caudally or inferior to the tentorium are posterior fossa structures, and this area is known as infratentorial. And any hemorrhage occurring in this area is referred as infratentorial bleed. And if it is above the tent, it will be called as supratentorial. On a CT scan film, these slices are used to visualize the posterior fossa. Here you can see the right and the left cerebellar hemispheres. This part here, lying anterior to the cerebellar hemispheres, are the parts of brainstem, which consist of midbrain, pons and the medulla. Midbrain being the cranial most, pons lying in the middle, and medulla is the most inferior part of the brainstem. Here on this slice, you can visualize the midbrain. This structure here lying anterior to the fourth ventricle is the pons, and this part here is the medulla. Now let's have a look of what we have discussed so far on a sagittal section. This is the tentorium cerebelli dividing the brain into supratentorial and infratentorial parts. This black CSF filled structure is the fourth ventricle, and posterior to it are cerebellar hemispheres. This bulbous part just anterior to the fourth ventricle is the pons. Cranially to the pons is the midbrain, and caudally this part here is the medulla. So this was all about the meninges and posterior fossa structures. If this video was helpful for you, let me know in the comment section and do share it with your colleagues. In the next video, we will talk about the skull bones, sutures and the paranasal sinuses. Thank you so much.